Welcome to Community Updates. I'm Victoria Strait.
And I'm Emmanuel Ortiz.
The Rotary Club of Neshoba Valley is hosting a Stuff a Cruiser event on March 27th between 11 and 2 p.m. Cruisers will be located at Lancaster Police Station, Bolton Police Station, and the Shaws and Stowe. Bring non-perishables and toiletries to fill the cruisers. Items will then be donated to Wheat Community Connections. Conant Public Library is hosting Spice Club for Kids on March 18th at 4 p.m. via Zoom. Young chefs in grades 3 and up will create a recipe using the surprise spice and share their dish with the group. Spice kits will be available via curbside pickup after registration. To register, contact Conant Public Library at 978-422-6409. The Sterling Senior Center's St. Patrick's Day themed grab and go will be on Wednesday, March 17th. Reserve your corned beef and cabbage, Irish soda bread, and dessert by calling 978-422-3032. The Sterling Town Center Guideline survey is now open and will be open until March 22nd. Inez Associates Limited has prepared a survey consisting of several questions about your thoughts on the buildings and landscape in the town center currently and for in the future. The results of this survey will guide the first draft of the guidelines, which will be publicly presented for further comments at a community meeting on Tuesday, April 6th at 5 p.m. You can visit sterling-ma.org or scan the QR code on the screen to complete the survey.
The third part of the Historical Society's Dare series will premiere on March 29th at 11 a.m. This episode will focus on the Red House on the Hill. To watch previous episodes, visit lancasterhistoricalsociety.org. And to find the schedule for Part 3, visit slctv.us. Thayer Memorial Library is having an author event on March 25th with author Leslie Perrin Wilson. They will be discussing the book This is the Life, The Diary of Jenny McLeod at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. To register for this event, please email Karen at ksilverthorne@lancasterma.net. Lancaster Garden Club is hosting a Living Basket workshop on March 21st at 1 p.m. via Zoom with Pine Ridge Farms. You will need to register for this event at lancastergardenclub.net by March 17th. You will then be able to pick up materials at Pine Ridge Farms. Now, let's head over to Lex Thomas.
Thank you, Victoria and Emmanuel. It is a delight and a pleasure to be here today with one of our real Lancaster gems. This is Peter Christoph, and Peter is very, very well known as a wildlife photographer. He has books, he has done shows all over the place, including at the Sterling Senior Center. Peter, welcome. It is lovely to have you here and lovely to see you. How are you doing?
Thanks, Lex. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me to be on. I'm doing great. It's nice to have a day off once in a while from going out and looking for birds, although I love looking for birds, but it's nice to have a day off and do this interview with you. I'm doing well. Thanks.
Now, you know, what you're saying is it's nice to have a day off, because I know from following you on Facebook and keeping my eye on stuff that goes on, that you are out there, it seems, almost every day, and you have the nickname of being the Owl Whisperer. Tell me what that's all about.
I do. Yeah, people started calling me the Owl Whisperer because, you know, I'm able to go out and find and photograph so many owls, so they think I have this ability to whisper to them and get them to come to me, which I wish I really had, of course. So yeah, it's a good name, and I do put the time in. Someone's got to be the Owl Whisperer. I do go out, you know, every day, get up in the morning and spend all my time out there looking for owls until it gets dark.
You know, it's amazing, though, the shots that you get, because I know even some of those that you've posted this week, I mean, you know, just owls in their habitats and what, I mean, how do you do this, and how do you get close enough? Or is this all smoke and mirrors? Is this all photographic trickery?
Yes, well, I invested in a very long lens. I have a 600 millimeter lens, and that way I'm able to stay as far away as I can from the owls so as not to disturb them. But when you see my pictures, it does look like I was, you know, 30 feet away from the owls. So that allows me to get in really take pictures that look like I'm really close with that telephoto lens that I have.
Now, do you always go into the same areas, or do you travel around? Do you kind of figure out where the best possibility is for a particular day? How do you figure that out?
Yeah, I have a few favorite spots that I go to sometimes every day, and I'm always on the move. You know, one minute I'm in southern Massachusetts, the next minute I'm in eastern Massachusetts. I'm all over the place that way, and I'm always looking for new places. Sometimes owls will move on, and it's time to find a new owl. So I always am trying to generate new owl locations that I can take people to when I take the people out to see the owls in the wild. Like yesterday, at the end of my workshop, I did spend a couple more hours, and I found another brand new eastern screech owl, and those are my favorite ones to find: the red ones and the gray ones of the eastern screech owl.
Now, you just referred to a workshop, so you do workshops and presentations. What's coming up over the next while? Because I know too that everything is available on Zoom that you've done. Is that correct?
Yes, back almost exactly 1 year ago last week, I did my last real presentation at a library, then COVID hit. Since then, I've started to do the Zoom presentations, and my most popular one, of course, is called Owls of New England. And it's great now that we have Zoom, because what normally you could only fit 50 or 60 people into a room because of the capacity of the room. Now I regularly have over 200, 250 people in a Zoom meeting, because people can join from all over the country or even all over the world if they want to. The next one coming up, I can't remember right off the top of my head. On my website does list my complete schedule of events.
Right. And
the workshops you mentioned, I'm doing workshops probably 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. It is the height of owl season, and what I do is I offer this service for people who have a hard time finding owls on their own. I take them out to where the owls are that I found, so they don't have to put in the hours and the days looking for the owls on their own.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. Now, you also have a number of books published, and you have available photographs and stuff that people can purchase. Is that correct?
I do, yeah. I have 3 books. My latest one is The Art of Bird Photography. And The Art of Bird Photography, people really like, because I share my photographs in there, and I also give tips on how people can improve their own photography. And I also share all the locations where I go to photograph my birds, so that if anyone wants to photograph the same birds I have, they can go out and find the same locations. So this here is The Art of Bird Photography. This is my latest book, and you can go to my website, peterchristoph.com, and there is a link to my book, and you can click right in that link and order the book. And if anyone's watching this presentation, you can go ahead when you're checking out and enter in Bird 10, and you get $10 off the book. So that's the coupon code, Bird 10, if anyone's interested in that.
Fantastic. Now, for anyone interested in getting into bird photography or nature photography, is this a huge investment? Can people get into it with the equipment they've already got? How does somebody get into this?
Yeah, bird photography and birding has really taken off during the pandemic, believe it or not, because people don't have anything to do. And the people that I've talked to at the that run these birding that run a, what's it called? There's a place in Newburyport that sells bird supplies. I can't think of it off the top of my head. He says birding has really doubled almost in the last year. And to get a decent camera to photograph birds, you can get one for under $800. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it's a money pit. You can spend up to $13,000 on a lens if you want to. But it's really fun, and it's a great hobby, and really you get to go out there and be in nature, breathe the fresh air. Even if you don't find a bird, you come back at the end of the day refreshed, just being out there in the woods.
You know, I think that's a real key to this, Peter, because you're saying that people are getting into this because there's really not much else to do during the pandemic. But I think as well, and this is something that I keep reading and reading, people need to get outdoors. because
Yeah.
otherwise you're just, within your own four walls, and that can become really tiresome, and it's not always the healthiest environment when you don't do anything else. So I think that's another huge appeal.
Yeah, it is. And I've had my workshops have doubled over the course of the last year because people want to go out in nature, and sometimes I feel like I'm the only game in town. So it's working out for me.
Sure.
Sometimes the pandemic is thought of as in a negative way, but it's been working out positively for me.
Sure. Yeah. Now, I know that you're also into wildlife advocacy, which is, of course, not surprising given what you do. How does that play out, and how does that play out in this area?
Yeah. So what I do is I have identified some of the species in decline due to habitat loss. So here's an example of what people can do and what I've done in my town of Lancaster. I've gone out and installed 6 different kestrel boxes, and we put those up in areas where the kestrel are most likely to be. And those are a species in decline because they don't have a place to nest. So those are simple things you can do. You can put up wood duck boxes in your area. You can put up bluebird boxes in your area, and these will encourage the birds to thrive. Even screech owl boxes, you can put those up in your backyard. So that's one thing you can do to help the birds out.
Are you doing other wildlife photography as well, or do you really focus on the birds?
Yeah, I do focus on the birds. Once in a while, I will run into a bear or a moose or a fox, but primarily I am out looking for the different birds. And in the wintertime, of course, mostly owls. In the summertime, I'm looking for pileated woodpeckers and ospreys and green herons and all sorts of other birds, warblers even in the spring.
I'm just chuckling here at your characterization of sometimes running into a bear or a moose. Those are that presents a certain risk as well. And although I know that people would love to run into those things, but it's just I guess that's just part and parcel of your work, right?
It is, yeah. I built a cabin out in the woods on the Tully River about 10 years ago. And when I told my mother I had run into a bear, I had seen a black bear. She's like, "Oh, be careful, stay away from it." And I'm like, "Mom, I'm a wildlife photographer. We want to do the opposite of run away from the bear. We want to see the bear."
Exactly. But we moms, boy, we always look after our babies, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Peter, it's been delightful talking with you. I really encourage everybody to go to your website, peterchristoph.com. Look Peter up on Facebook. Wonderful, wonderful things there that you have on an almost daily basis. And I have to tell you too, Peter, that's very cheerful for people too, because we can't all get out there. We can't all be doing this, but even just to see those depictions of wildlife, they really they're very happy at this time that's been so difficult for so many people.
Well, hopefully I can inspire some of the people that can't get out, and they can live vicariously through my photos. That's the
Absolutely.
day.
Absolutely. And definitely to check out your workshops on Zoom because they are wonderful and they are readily available. Peter, thank you so much. And with that, we are going to fly back into the studio with Victoria and Emmanuel.
On my bookshelf this week is In the Woods by Tana French. It is a mystery novel about a pair of Irish detectives and their investigation of the murder of a 12-year-old girl. It is complicated by the trauma of one of the detectives, Rob, who as a child was found one day in the woods with no memory, with his friends missing and blood on his shoes. This book is the inspiration for the Dublin Murder TV series shown on the BBC and the Stars Network. If you're looking for a gripping murder mystery, this book is for you.
Worcester County Sheriff Lou Evangelitis is proud to announce that over the past 5 years, 100 shelter pups have been adopted from the Worcester County Sheriff's Department Shelter Pet Program. The shelter program, which launched in April of 2015, pairs behaviorally needy shelter dogs with inmates who provide them with 24/7 care and training. The inmates work with the dogs on socialization, housebreaking, and basic obedience. Not only does it benefit the dogs by helping them become more adoptable, but it also has a positive result for the handlers who learn patience, compassion, and responsibility. Many of the inmates say that it gives them a focus while transitioning back into the community. Sheriff Lou Evangelitis, WCSO counselor Kathy Pelletier, and her son Timothy, along with their pup Remy, who was the very first dog adopted from this program, filmed a short video to celebrate their 100th shelter pet adoption at the jail. Let's take a peek.
Hi everybody, this is Sheriff Lou Evangelitis. We're actually in our sheriff's office here with Remy here, who's one of our first shelter dogs that was adopted, the first one from our program that I'm going to talk about for a minute. But really what I wanted to tell you was I've always loved dogs. We've had many in my family. They've always been shelter pets. And when I got elected sheriff, I dreamed about the idea of bringing a shelter program to the jail. And there's a lot of evidence to show that inmates benefit from having dogs around. So we started a partnership where we have dogs come in from a shelter. They work with the inmates for anywhere from three months or more necessary, and they provide care for the dog. They help train the dogs that have some slight behavioral issues, and then they're put up for adoption. And I'm really proud to say that we are moving on our 100th adopted dog in this program. We're 100 for 100. We've had incredible successes, but today we're here with Remy and Kathy Pelletier, who works with us, and her son Tim. And Remy was our very first dog that was adopted. So Kathy, why don't you just tell us, how did you first see Remy, and how's he been for a family, part of your family?
Well, like you, Sheriff, we were excited when we heard the program was coming up, and I think one of the very first days that Remy came, of course I was over at work release, I couldn't wait to meet him, and there was just something about his eyes. I just fell in love with him. In our family, we were always dog people also, and we had lost a dog maybe 2 or 3 years previous, and we thought we were all done with pets. My oldest son was a senior in college, and this guy was going away to college. And probably a crazy time. Everybody was thinking, you're empty nesters, why are you doing this now? But I fell in love with him, and he brings us tremendous joy. We treat him like a family member. He's my third son. And he's just part of the family and happy to be with us, and he's really grown. And Tim, what do you have to say?
I think he's the best friend to have during the pandemic, because while we're all kind of trapped inside, socially distanced, I know that between working from home and being at home all the time, well, I'm never alone because I have Remy here with me at my feet, snuggled up on the couch with me, going to go on walks with him. So he's really the best friend to have around. And so if you have the space, the best thing to do is get a shelter dog, give someone a home. And with Remy, you'll find a best friend and a new family member. So I think it's one of the best things that you can do at this time.
Well, you guys could not have really put the program in a better light. And you got the first example we have of this wonderful program. This program helps adopt dogs. It helps the inmates learn to become better behaved, bonding with another animal, changes them as people. And our officers say the blocks have never been safer and calmer than when the dogs have arrived. So it's a wonderful program. I couldn't be more proud to have it, and we couldn't have had better spokesmen here to talk about the importance of adopting shelter pets. So again, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed meeting Remy.
What a great program. We wish Sheriff Evangelitis and all others involved the best of luck on the next 100 adoptions.
And that's all we have time for this week.
We'll see you next time on Community Updates.